Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I have been trying out a supply and demand strategy lately, and I didn't have a ton of success today. But I wanted to go over the two trades I took and kind of how they played out today. The supply and demand. I guess recently we've been in a downtrend, so I have been looking at mostly playing off of supply because I believe the supply plays better in downtrends and demand plays better in uptrends. That's just my experience. But overall, like on a daily, recently we have been in a downtrend basically since the beginning of the month. And also, basically, we've had lower highs basically also since July. So, been feeling a lot more confident about playing short in a lot of these positions. Um, but as easy as I've been making it, is I've just been drawing a couple of 4 hour supplies, 1 hours, 30-minute supplies, just higher time frame supply zones. And I have been trying to just figure out a strategy and where I can find some sort of confirmation inside of those zones and then wait to play short. Today, I did make a mistake on a couple of trades that I made today. Um, I drew this 30-minute supply zone from pre-market this morning, and my initial trade was off the original reaction here at right at around 11:25 today. And I played pretty much as soon as we had this kind of indecisive candle. And then I was playing a pretty big play after the pretty big candle, actually, 5 minute candle here. And I actually was starting to feel like it was respecting this zone, so I felt pretty confident. I even allowed this to kind of get close to stopping me out here, and I was trying to be patient, and everything was going pretty well. And I was even patient down here. I was going to let everything play out, but it turned around fairly quickly and then just went right to stop me out. It looked like this kind of reached only about halfway through the supply and the demand zone. So this first trade, unfortunately, I lost about $135. I'm trading micros today, at least, just to kind of mess around with smaller size and see if I can get into more trades and then not have a single trade blow my account if I'm trading a couple of NQ or a couple of ES contracts. And then my second trade came about 120, and my decision to make this trade here was basically a head and shoulders. The head and shoulders looks a little bit better on the 5 minute. So here's a shoulder, here's the head, and here's the other shoulder. I was playing short. I got in a little late. I don't, again, that wasn't a huge deal. I got in right about here. Um, but what I'm trying to look at here is kind of I guess with these supply zones that I'm making, right, these 30-minute, 1 hour supply zones, I am looking to capitalize on larger moves. And maybe what I need to be doing in those instances is actually having larger stops or having just larger areas for things to just bounce around because things aren't always just going to happen super fast, especially when you've got 30-minute supply zones and hour supply zones. It's very likely that we're going to spend some time up here, right? We had a couple of touches this morning. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches on this 30-minute supply zone that I drew this morning. 6 touches. And it still seems to be kind of dancing around there. So this last reaction here towards the low of day for yesterday would have been fantastic if I had not messed up on my trade management for the second one. If you notice, I have this set up, this trade, and I had my original stop loss above this high right here. So as I entered, my original stop loss was at like 14,922, which was above this high right here. And I felt very comfortable with that stop loss. And I let this trade play out for about 30 minutes. And let me see. Let me actually pull up my Ninja Trader real quick. Let's see here. So these are my two trades. And I moved my stop to break even, and I got stopped out at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock candle stopped me out. Okay. So I'm going to move this to 2 o'clock candle. So if we move in here, this is break even for me. And my big mistake, I would say here, and the mistake I didn't make in the first one, I did get stopped out in the first trade, which again, I was letting the trade run its course, trusting in what I was doing. Again, you're not going to win every trade. This second trade, I tried to flip the script, and instead of just letting the trade play out as it would, I would have actually still been in this trade, and I would have hit my original target. So the original stop loss was above this high. The original target was just this swing low right here. And it would have taken a little bit of time, would have taken like an hour, I think, maybe like an hour and a half to get over here, but I would have actually made that play. And yeah, I would have had a successful trade because neither of these touches in the supply zone would have stopped me out with my original stop loss. So some things to learn here for sure. I really do want to start being able to set my stop loss, set my my take profit or my target, and really just be able to let the trade run. I think what that allows you to do is really just see if your original thesis was correct about the trade, your original trade idea was correct, and not get in the habit of trying to like micromanage the trade while it's in it. You keep hearing these things like set it and forget it. But I do find myself occasionally micromanaging the trade, and then what do you know, you get stopped out. Fortunately, this was break even, so I had a fairly small loss today, just like 133, 135 bucks. But overall, just really just learning not to micromanage the trade. I think this afternoon could have been completely different. I think overall, the market is still open for another 20 minutes, but I think overall, the idea was still there. This morning's execution, I'm not sure what I could have done differently. Maybe just given a little bit more time to play out or allowed it more space for a stop loss to move through the supply zone. But this afternoon, I did feel pretty good about that, especially considering a pattern finally did show up. And maybe that was the issue with the morning trade, was the fact that there was no pattern, there was no confirmation to get in. But the second trade I did like the head and shoulders pattern, and I did enter there. So maybe next time, keep following the trend, right? The trend is downward at this point still until we have like a higher time frame move. But take your 30-minute zones and then wait for some sort of confirmation in these zones. I was excited to trade in the supply zone today and kind of see reaction. And it's obvious that these zones are important. You get these reactions, these large reactions off of these zones, and they do that for a reason. So being able to look back on this today and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're about to maybe have a seventh reaction off of this zone. This seems pretty important and something that I need to keep an eye on. Definitely the ability to recognize the zone and then get confirmation once it's in the zone, wait for confirmation. Like the head and shoulders pattern that I saw here to get short. So a lot of things to work on, a lot of moving parts. This morning, the trade probably shouldn't have been put on just because there was no confirmation other than it just hitting the zone, which is not enough in hindsight. And then the trade this afternoon, don't micromanage the trade, let it run its course, and really only move your stop loss into positions where maybe you can guarantee like a 1R return. This trade, it was about a 2R, and there was a point probably here or even a little bit on this retrace where if I did want to secure some profits, probably need to move it to 1R, but in this case, just don't touch it because it still would have worked. So obviously this is all in hindsight, but this is why I'm doing it, and just trying to go over my thoughts and kind of just had a genuine discussion about my trades today and show show what it's about, show the mistakes you can make, and hopefully I can start learning from these mistakes. I would like to see myself starting to trade a little bit more with supply and demand. Even if I don't make it like the primary trading strategy that I use, at least use it as a reference for any other trades or any other decisions that I make. So if, I mean, zooming out, the ability to recognize if we are in a downtrend, being able to recognize these areas of supplies. So as we retrace into these areas of supplies, we can look for opportunities to get short. So for instance, on Friday, there was a decent, let me move to 15. On Friday, there wasn't really a play unless you could draw a supply or demand zone from around here, which I did not do. Didn't trade anything on Friday. But at least this morning was a great opportunity to recognize that there was a supply zone, and then just multiple touches throughout the day to confirm that supply zone is good. So again, just trying to figure this stuff out. It's a long process. I'm not upset. Again, small loss. It is what it is. But hopefully, I can start to kind of iron down a little bit more confirmation in these supply and demand zones, and just keep hanging in there. So I appreciate it. See you guys next time. Peace.